Hello. We're going to wait a minute. It's all right, Caroline. Les, you're in trouble now.
Carry on.
Right. I don't know whether actually I should read what I've actually got on this piece of paper because it will be disastrous. Okay? You want me to? All right, okay. It starts, honestly, with I'm going to cry. Okay? Those of you who don't know me don't realise what a crier I am. Okay? I cry at sad movies. I cry at movies with young people in, with old people in, with cartoon cars in. I cry at adverts. I cry when I'm reading out results at school. I am truly, truly pathetic. But that's just one of those things. It's not bad. I made it through the first paragraph without crying. Hey, I'm on a roll. So, I probably am going to cry, because there are bits that, yeah, I probably do need to maybe perhaps show a little bit of emotion, tiny bit of emotion, but it also shows you that I am actually a loving, caring father. All right? Those of you who saw me walk down the aisle will know actually it is true, I do cry. Family. You know we had a discussion earlier on this week about how many times I would cry by the time we got to this speech. Okay? All right? What numbers have we got? Sam?
I think so far like 5 or something.
5. Matthew? 3. Mummy?
Not if you're good.
Not if I'm good. All right? Emily?
6.
No, 7. 7 times already today. Okay, and this is, so far, I'm going without. Now, I had promised these guys that I was going to be relatively short. If I talk in between these bits, hopefully I won't cry. Anyway, today, my one and only favourite daughter...
Thank goodness.
Yeah, I'm thank goodness too. Becomes a new person. Well, sort of. She gains a new name. In fact, today, and I'm sorry about the pun, today, wait for it, today is the start of a new era. Emily Rebecca Aristide. Do you know, the funny thing is, it doesn't even say pause for applause. Do you know, almost 24 years ago, just before midnight on the 13th of September, I held a tiny little baby on this arm, on my forearm, and I looked at it and thought, my word, how on earth did this happen? And when Linda and I took her home, we thought, and we talked about, how on earth do we look after this little life? And we even discussed taking her back to hospital for the night just so they could look after her, because we weren't entirely certain how it was going to go. But we stuck with it, and we probably haven't done too bad a job. Okay? Now, only some of that's been down to me. I tried to be a really good father and, you know, help with the homework. But when I was told, when Emily was in year 7, that she had problems with her maths, I said, do you want me to help? And she turned round and said...
No, you're only a primary school teacher.
Yeah. Now, I teach up to year 8, okay? So I can do it, but it was obviously decided I was only a primary school teacher, so I couldn't. All right? Now... Where do I get to now? Ah, yes. More of how Emily's turned out has been down to Linda. But... And can I say thank heavens for that? And most of how she's turned out is down to her. Because those of you who do know have probably realised she's fairly determined. She does try and get her own way.
Sorry, Nick.
And Nick does know that actually he has had a hand in the lady you see here today, not a girl, this lady, not just a woman, she's a lady. She's that wonderful and that special. Almost went there. Did you see? Almost went there. So, the small part I have had in her life has been very, very important to me. And the bits I've tried to do have ended up just being a taxi driver, a removals man, a decorator, a taxi driver who knows how to reverse very slowly onto the drive after a particularly boozy party so the door could be opened before there was an accident. At least she hasn't had to be collected with a bucket in the car. Matthew, don't you dare when you're older. Don't you dare. So, ladies and gentlemen, mothers, fathers, brothers, sisters, cousins, relatives, in-laws, outlaws, and those of you who are sat there wondering why on earth you're here, what this wedding is you're at, because there's so much good TV on, like Strictly tonight, would you all please stand? There is a toast in a second. Yeah, just wait a minute. Emily and Nick, may God bless you and keep you. Make his face shine upon you, grant you his peace evermore. Amen. Amen. Ladies and gentlemen, your glasses. Emily and Nick. Sit down, please.
Well, yeah, how do I follow that?
Turn the microphone.
Turn it off. There we go. Yeah, so how do you follow that? Well, I think just on behalf of my new wife and I, who has been looking absolutely amazing today. Give a round of applause for her. We'd just like to say a massive thank you for everyone coming today and making today such a special day and sharing a special day with us. And we'd also like to just do a few small thank yous, but before I start those, I'd like to say a massive thank you to Adam and Linda, who have done a load to help us get this ready, and the effort they've put in making today so truly special and fantastic. So a massive round of applause for Adam and Linda. So just going to thank a few people who have been involved in today and helping us along the way. First off, we'd like to thank my best man and my brother, Alex, who managed to help me not fall apart too much at the end of the aisle there. So, could we... Okay. Here's just a little token to say thank you.
Don't worry, I've only read nice things about you.
Yeah, that comes with that means you have to do a nice speech for me.
Yeah.
We'd also like to just give a massive thank you to Emily's bridesmaids, who have also looked amazing today, and thank you for making sure she turned up. And so yeah, we have a little something for you.
Yeah.
And we also have a little thank you for the ushers.
Yes.
Yeah, we wouldn't leave you out, don't worry. So just a massive thank you to Sam and Matthew, who helped make sure you all found your seats, hopefully. we actually have one last thing to give, and it's just a little token to our mothers in a sign of support for the love and support they have given us. And so here's a little something for both of you. So just for me to say, again, thank you very much for turning up and sharing such a special day with us, and I hope you enjoy the rest of the evening. And it'd be an honour for me and Emily for you to write in our guest book and write on the notes that we have out through the hallway, and enjoy yourselves and have a good time. Thank you.
Why'd you turn it off?
Hello. It still works. I'm going to start formally. Ladies and gentlemen, I'd firstly like to add my many congratulations to Emily and Nick on a beautiful wedding. For those that have yet to meet me, my name's Alex. I'm not only Nick's best man for today, but also his older, some say more handsome, and taller brother. When Nick asked me to be his best man, I immediately had two contradictory thoughts. Was I asked to be best man because I'm the kind of brother that would make it into a lager commercial if Heineken did brothers? Or was it simply because he has very few friends? After all, he is studying for a doctorate in physical chemistry at Imperial College. After mulling this over for several minutes, I realised for Nick's sake and mine, it was just better to assume it's because I'm the best brother ever. One day. The revelations. It's getting ominous now, isn't it, Nick? For those that believe Nick is a mild-mannered, polite young man, I have some shocking revelations for you. In his formative years, he lived up to and even surpassed the name Naughty Nick. However, like a fine Argentinian Malbec, he has certainly mellowed with age. To illustrate this change from boy to man, I'm going to reveal a few unknown stories about Nick. Story 1, the photo shoot. To set the scene, it was a beautiful spring morning with trees out in blossom and birds chirping sweet melodies from the rooftops. So rarely can you rely on the British weather to deliver, but for once it was there on cue for the school photo shoot. As we arrived at school with a final comb of hair and yank up of socks from our mum, we were ready for the shoot. It was all going so well. Maybe Mum was gleefully thinking she would have some lovely photographs to show Nick's future wife one day. If only. As Nick stands in the photograph next to his friend Andrew, they start to giggle and whisper to each other, the teacher warning them to be quiet. Silence descends. It was as if gaffer tape were placed over their mouths. This should have sent alarm bells off for Mrs. Webb. When do children obey at the first time of asking, especially Nick? The photographer starts to snap away at the smartly dressed, smiling miniature assassins. Suddenly, a chink of light catches the photographer's eye against the backdrop of charcoal shorts. The photographer stops, walks over to Mrs. Webb and whispers in her ear. Not quite believing what she's hearing, she turns around. There they were. Nick and Andrew's little willies dangling out through the flies of their shorts. Story 2. Nick's first chemistry experiment. As a chemist, Nick will tell you that in the majority of circumstances, you can't have smoke without fire. You'd be foolish to think that he learned this whilst at school. One of the greatest fears of every parent has to be the dreaded school shoe shop. Not only do you have to contend with that stupid ticket machine thing, you must also control your children and somehow be a mystical shoe measuring expert, squeezing down through the hard leather trying to find any resemblance of a toe. Spare a thought for my mother here. Nick hated shopping and hated sitting still even more. However, after what felt like the invasion and subsequent occupation of Afghanistan by Allied forces, a pair of shoes were finally purchased, much to Nick's disgust. With Mum now recuperating from PTSD, with a glass of wine in her hand, Nick's plan for an insurgence starts to come to fruition. Just like the Taliban fighters who know the way to hurt the West is to set fire to the oil fields, Nick realises that he won't have to wear the shoes if they are reduced to a molten mess of rubber and carbon. Nick excitedly retrieves some matches from the not-so-secret cupboard and begins the process of igniting his shoes. Little did Nick know at this point is that shoes are actually quite hard to set fire to. Furthermore, once alight, a toxic, malodorous stench fills the air, alerting anyone within 100 metres that something is awry. On that note, Mum's instinct takes over, and she immediately fills the airways with what only can be produced by either a banshee or an angry Jackie. Nick! Mum rushes upstairs to find a smouldering pair of shoes on a window ledge next to a guilty-looking boy. Aside from the mass bollocking and resultant sanctions, the likes of which only North Korea are used to, Nick had undertaken his first practical chemistry experiment and learnt 2 valuable lessons. There is no smoke without fire, and shoes are hard to burn. Story 3, the pool. Stelios, watch out. The final story I'm going to reminisce over involves Nick's attitude to different cultures. This time, we're in Spain with our cousins, Tom and Jess, beside a hotel pool. A small boy, who I refer to as Rodrigo, saw Nick's happy-go-lucky face and probably thought in his head, hey, he looks like a friend and someone I can play with, see? Rodrigo enthusiastically rushes over to Nick and starts to converse in his native tongue. Nick, hearing these strange sounds coming from this boy's mouth, fearing for his life, took immediate action. He shunted helpless Rodrigo into the pool. Little did Nick know that Rodrigo could barely swim. He did, however, manage to sustain a semi-floating position, which gave a few seconds for Rodrigo's father, Juan, to jump in and save him. Juan starts frantically shouting at an already distraught Nick, probably saying he'll teach him a lesson. Dad picks Nick up and we make a run for it. A few minutes longer and there's a real possibility of pitchforks. Looking back at this, I can only assume Nick was just preparing for Brexit. We can see with proof of today that Nick has turned from a boy to a man. Nick and Emily have survived their photo shoot. Jason? Yeah, we're okay? Good. I believe Nick's shoes are still in one piece. Alright, we're coming. Yep. And finally, one of Nick's closest friends from university is European. Stelios, I've checked, and there are no pools here. Yeah, we're good. I have seen Nick grow from the moment he was brought into this world, and have been there to see every step of his journey so far. The ceremony today was to declare to all of us his love and commitment to Emily, something that has never been in doubt. This is the official start of the next chapter of your life, and it's the beginning of a new family nucleus connected to the existing ones. However, as a new chapter begins, it does not mean everything will change. I will always be your brother, your best man and friend. I will always be here to support the both of you with whatever joys, surprises and obstacles that await you on the journey ahead. Finally, I want to welcome Emily as an official member to the Aristidou family and to wish you both the happiest of marriages. To Nick and Emily. Nick and Emily. Thank God that's over.
Well, it's my turn now. Well, friends and family, and well, I would firstly just like to say thank you for Nick for his kind words, and Alexander, I'll speak to you later. But wow, what an emotional day. Jackie and I feel so proud and happy to see Nick and Emily tie the knot. It reminds us how far life has taken us as parents. It's not just the grey hair and knowing where every toilet is on the high street. It's moments like this that we engrave in our memory. Adam and Linda, thank you. Thank you for a truly memorable day. Welcoming Nick into your family as we gladly welcome Emily into ours. Although it's a little distressing that the male advantage is changing in the Aristidou household, but I know Emily is level-headed, and unlike Mr. E.U. Barnier, she won't be biased. Marriage. Well, marriage is a great institution, particularly when you've found your soulmate. Soulmate. He'll protect us. Cushion insoles. Well, it's equally a perfect description of a soulmate, comfortable yet strong to tread through life's highs and lows. Having found my soulmate, I recognise Nick and Emily are soulmates. Jackie and I feel very lucky and blessed that Nick found Emily. Or was it Emily found Nick? Well, we now officially have a daughter. Emily, thank you for being by Nick's side through his studies whilst achieving so much yourself. And Nick, you know we are very proud of you. As parents, it is time for us to congratulate ourselves, encouraging you to be as wise, thoughtful, and gracious as you are. Thank you for all the happiness you have brought us. If I may raise a toast now to the joining of the two families, the Aristidous and the Warners, and the two ends of the alphabet, and the circle of life, Hakuna Matata. So if I ask you to raise a glass, Hakuna Matata. Hakuna Matata. Thank you.